Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern to talk about content production once again, but with a different spin, as we are producing content right now. How are you today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, Ben, and it's always good to have a chat about content production. And I think as we're going to talk about today, it's a little bit different again. It seems to change every time they change an algorithm.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kick this off and obviously put in a bit of a plug, I've reactivated one of the series that I had produced in the past, and I've integrated it into scitechculture.com. So please go and visit and check it out. The original show, the original show is still there. That's the beauty of YouTube and everything being online. It's always there, and that's
it'll make you hungry.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the show Food Discoveries. So, just as a bit of background, Shell and I did a show back in. It was started in 2009. I think we did the last episode in 2011. It was about 60 odd episodes of basically, as the name would suggest, videos of various different types of food, cooking, etc. Which, if you actually think about it, back then, I don't know if that was really as prevalent as the myriad of cooking shows that seem to be on TV right now. But which kind of made me wonder, how am I going to bring this thing back when every joker out there's got their own food show? And then it occurred to me that I was looking at it in the wrong way, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Steve. Is that when I produced that show back then, it was still in the mindset of producing a traditional show, which in effect means you prepare, you script it a little bit, you make sure you've got all of the production logistics sorted, even though it wasn't a huge thing, but you still had to prepare, get it all done. It was edited in a traditional way on my Macs using Final Cut, etc., getting all the sound mixing and all that. So it was kind of like doing a proper TV episode or a short film or something. It had logistics behind it, I guess, would be the way to put it. And I just didn't see how. And I, obviously back then I did attempt to use the very first iPhone that I ever had, the iPhone 4, to make a couple of these episodes, and it was an interesting experiment. We did about 8 episodes, but it wasn't really, it wasn't at a place that I felt comfortable that I should be using it full time. Now you flash forward to now. The iPhones or any smartphone now is capable of producing really superb quality video. And not only that, you can actually do all of the editing on the phone as well, which I wouldn't have entertained back then. I don't even know if it was possible back then from memory. So I'm sitting here thinking, how can I do this now? And then it was Instagram that came to mind, which was photos. I can obviously upload as many photos as I want, and also it takes 1-minute videos as well. So the idea would be post lots of photos and also do 1-minute episodes or vignettes of whatever it is we're doing, and do them on the fly while we're out on the phone. So it's not a big production deal, and it's, you can do it. And the great thing about that, and this is the revelation I think that I had, was, and I'm sure the kids of today think we're a bit slowed in coming to this judgment, but I think today's world is all about the immediacy of the content. If you try to produce something the old-fashioned way, it takes time and it's an effort. It might be, obviously I could probably punch them around in a day, but I was doing it out of hours, etc. And it might take me a week to produce an episode, whereas something like this I could probably do by the end of the meal. So. And I think that is the difference for me. And like I think there's something good about the feasibility of how quick that is and how immediate that is. But part of me is still rooted in that old school filmmaking side of things, where a lot more should go into it. But as I came to realize, actually no, it doesn't. Not in the world of today. What do you reckon about any of that?
I reckon you're spot on. And I think Instagram's probably, it's a very visual medium, so it's almost certainly the best place to use the actual capabilities of the platform to create a show like that. And yeah, I mean, let's face it, you've really pointed out how the original food discoveries were, a very traditional, even though they might have been, probably production light, but still very traditional routine of producing and post-producing the content. And I think, if you consider what you said about being able to put a minute of video and lots of images up on Instagram, then that just goes to show you the difference in media today. It's a completely different world. And I think the way we consume media and the way we engage with media is different too. I do think that, even though now you can upload videos onto Facebook and, and into Instagram and onto any number of different services, whether it's YouTube or otherwise, I think that traditional means of watching a video, even if it's only a 3-minute video, is still very cumbersome. A minute is probably tops.
Yeah.
And I think that, it being in a feed with a whole lot of other images is probably the best way to go, because people can pick and choose, and it's probably the best way to content market. The older thinking, the way, you would have gone about promoting a show like that back in 2010 or 2011 would have been Facebook. Facebook wasn't a publicly listed company then.
Yeah.
And you have to pay to get your word out, and basically your networking was your friend. And that just shows you in 5 years how much it's changed. So, I don't think you could do the same thing on Facebook now. I don't think anyone on Facebook would necessarily want to see it. But on Instagram, that's somewhere where it really sits. So I think it's fantastic the food discovery is coming back.
Absolutely. But the irony being that, Facebook owns Instagram and it's integrated into its platform. But yet somehow they've at least been clever enough to keep it as a separate platform. Enough for it to sort of exist independently of it. But just something...
Well, it is a very, very different platform, and I think that Instagram's a far more modern platform than Facebook, which is ironic considering Facebook's really only 10 years old.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. But, it's just the ease of use too, because with Instagram, I can, although the target post is on Instagram, it immediately goes to Facebook and Twitter straight away. So I almost don't even need to look at what happens on the Facebook page other than checking in to see if anyone's commenting or on Twitter if people are responding or whatever. And I guess
that's interesting in itself, in that Instagram really is a great content platform, and Facebook drags content from Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. Just one thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap up, though, was advertising, and this isn't particular for food discoveries per se. It's also even for this show and a lot of the other videos and films that we've put online. That I've always had, although I've experimented with advertising on the different platforms, I've always had a lot of trepidation around using it and whether or not it is actually useful. And a large part of that really comes from my experience as a user. Now, I don't know about you, but I find ads on YouTube, for instance, to be incredibly irritating a lot of the time. I can probably put up with, 5-10 second ones that run ahead of the video. That's no problem. Or if they give you the option to skip the ad. But then there are people that, will set ads that, an ad will pop up every 2 minutes in the video. And I guess Facebook, in a way, is, if we transition to that, is how does that work? I've tried that a few times, and it doesn't necessarily... What you want out of advertising is repeat business after you've gotten them in through the advertising portal, and I'm not seeing how that actually happens, at least in the experiments that I've been doing. And on top of that, I don't really want the content to be sort of hijacked by the ads either. I'd rather just have them all up there for free, to be honest. And that, and we figure out a way to fund it through some other means, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a consumer, I think the YouTube ads are irritating, but they're honest, I guess, or they seem more honest. Facebook you know, it's so obvious to me now that Facebook is like, you know, running a script across any other window that I might have open, any search that I might have done, and trying to jam that in, whether it's on my phone or whether it's on a laptop. And I just don't respect Facebook because of that. I don't respect them at all anymore. I thought probably around 2012 or 2013 that they're actually really on the verge of creating a fantastic service. But now I think they've pushed so hard towards advertising that I just see very little value actually in the platform at all.
Well, to paraphrase from the movie The Social Network, it's like someone they were running the coolest party in town, and someone's just called time on it and shut the whole thing down, which I think is the irony of what happened to Facebook, is that it really was the place where people connected and all that and could do all of this stuff. And now what is it exactly that you're seeing? That's on right.
there? I really think that they've ruined it. You know, they steal news, and they steal advertisers from the people that are making the news that they're stealing.
Yeah.
And they provide a service that's free, and I tell you what, you definitely get what you pay for. So I just don't value it anymore. It's not actually an anti-Facebook rant or anything from my perspective. It's just I just don't value it. I don't value anything it gives me.
Yeah, well,
by the same token,
a few course corrections could see it become really great again, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by the same token, for instance, you know, Instagram is owned by Facebook. I'm not a huge Instagram kind of fan, but I do like Instagram. I like the way Instagram presents its media. I know there's an advertising edge to it, but it's just a different sort of platform.
Yeah.
And, you know, Facebook was a social platform originally. It's not a social platform anymore. It's an advertising platform. Instagram was a social platform, but it was an image-based. It was a content-based social platform. And I think that's why I like it more. I think that's probably why most people like it more, because it's about content, not about advertising.
And the irony being that Facebook's platforms that they brought into Facebook seem to be working better than the original platform itself, because even Messenger works in a way that is so much better than the traditional platform.
That's right.
All right, well, we'll start to wrap it up. Again, just wanted to plug that Food Discoveries is back online. So I actually got a few interested people commenting, "Oh, you're coming back, are you?" So I thought, yeah, in a slightly different way, of course, but yep, it's on its way back.
No, it's good. There's some good episodes there and some very good recipes that you can follow at home.
Exactly right. All right, so don't forget to check out our website, SciTechCulture.com. That's where you can also check out Food Discoveries. I've just updated it there, but you can get all the access to all of our other content and subscribe to our channels, and we'd be greatly appreciative of that. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.